friends, it is Natalie. I am here to bring you my February wrap-up. February turned out to be another great reading month. 2020 has turned out to be a great reading year. It has turned out not to be such a great year for the rest of the world, but reading-wise, it's turned out to be good, which is good because I'm stuck in my house, like probably so many of you are. So let's just dive on in. A real quick warning, you might hear a little singing and chirping in the background. Our schools are shut down here in Virginia, and my son, who has autism, likes to sing and kind of chirp and make noises as he's wandering around the house. So that's what you're hearing if you hear that. Now, I did participate in the Valentine's Readathon, but I did not stick with my TBR very well at all. I'm just going to be really honest. Some of the books I read and some of the books just fell to the wayside because other books needed to be read. So bear with me, please. One book I did get to read was the Sundown Motel by Simone St. James. I was so excited to read this because you guys know I was such a big fan of Broken Girls and highly recommend that book. Like Broken Girls, the Sundown Motel was a paranormal mystery, and this one was a bit scary. Also, like Broken Girls, it happens in two timelines, or takes place in two timelines. So we have two main characters. Our first main character is Viv. She has left home, told her mother she's going to New York to be an actress, but she realizes she doesn't really want that. She just wanted to leave home because she was mad at her mother. She ends up in upstate New York in this little town called Fell, F-E-L-L, and she ends up taking the night shift at the Sundown Motel, and eventually she disappears. And then our second timeline is in 2017 when her niece Carly decides that she's going to investigate because nobody ever found out what happened to Viv. So she goes to the town. She also takes on the night shift. She miraculously is able to get the same apartment that her aunt stayed in as well. And so we have Viv and Carly going back and forth with these chapters in this very spooky hotel. This is the spookiest hotel that I know of since The Shining. Now, you guys know I love the Broken Girls so much, so I gave this book 4.5 stars. I really do highly recommend it. I couldn't give it 5 stars because obviously I'm going to compare it to Broken Girls, and it was just a little bit less than Broken Girls in my opinion. I mean, 4.5 stars, that's pretty much a go to read, but Broken Girls being up here, Sundown Motel was like right there. It was still really great, but I'm gonna have to give it 4.5 stars. And yeah, read it, it's really good. But it is scary. If you don't like scary, don't read it. It's very spooky. All right, the next book I'm going to talk about is Foul is Fair by Hannah Capin. She is the author of The Dead Queens Club, which I talked about so much in 2019. It was a retelling of Henry VIII and his wives, but put into a high school. This is a sort of retelling, reimagining of Macbeth, also set in a modern day high school, and I enjoyed this very much. Now, before I even tell you about this book, there is a trigger warning that is in the very front of this book that Hannah actually put in here, and I want to give you as well. This book does deal with a girl at a party being assaulted by a group of boys in a way that you can imagine. I always tell you guys, I don't know if my younger students are going to watch this, so I have to kind of watch what I say, but you can imagine what happened at this party. And so if you are very sensitive, be careful with this book. So our main character is Jade. You can tell that her and her friends, they call themselves the Coven, are probably the most popular or it girls at the school that they go to, but they decide to crash a party for another school. The party they go to is run by the St. Andrew's Prep School, a popular and elite crowd. And it is the most popular and elite boys of that school that end up assaulting Jade when she gets separated from her girlfriends. So Jade decides that she is going to get revenge. She changes her appearance, she enlists her friends' help, and she transfers to St. Andrew's Prep School, and she infiltrates their popular and elite crowd so that she can slowly take them down. I ended up giving this 4 stars. I thought it was very well done. It is very fast-paced, which is something I like. Sometimes there's people who fast-paced doesn't work for them, because when I say fast-paced, I'm talking really fast-paced. This book goes by in a flash, and it is very violent, if you remember Macbeth. But I highly enjoyed it. As many of you guys know, Hannah Capin is somebody that I know personally. I actually was in a writing class with her. She actually was a writing teacher of mine at one point. She is absolutely fabulous, and I'm so excited that she has another great book that's out there for all of us to read. Now, this should not be shocking. I did get to The King of Crows, this big old book that is the last or the 4th book in the Diviner series that is probably my favorite series outside of maybe Harry Potter. And obviously, I'm going to give it 5 stars because I give all the books 5 stars. Usually when a book is a series like this, where it's not episodic, where it's one really long story that's kind of been broken up into books, I kind of rate it all together. So I say the Diviner series is 5 stars, and this is the last part of it. Not to say that this is like the other 3 books. In fact, a lot of things about this book was very different from the first 3 books. The first 3 books take place in New York City in the 1920s. In this book, the diviners kind of all get split up into all these little groups, and they're all kind of crossing the country in different ways to reach this one spot. I believe it's like somewhere in Nebraska that they realize that they need to get to fight this, you know, power or bad thing. I don't want to say what it is for those of you who haven't read it. And it's kind of crazy how the diviners get split up and who gets put with who and how some of them are traveling, like one of them is with a traveling circus. It's very interesting. You are not really in New York very much in this book. They're all taking very different routes to get to this place. And of course, because it's such a big book, during their adventures or long road trips or however they're planning to get to Nebraska, they all experience very unique adventures of their own as they're trying to get to the final destination. So I like that this book was different and it took us out of New York City. And like I said, I give the series as a whole 5 stars. I highly recommend. They're long books, but they're worth the read. All right, the next book I want to tell you about is such a special book. It is called A Constellation of Roses, and it is very special in the way the book Rules of Magic is special. Our main character is Trix. She has lived her life basically on her own. Her mother abandoned her at a pretty young age. She's a very skilled thief because she does have a bit of magic that helps her when she is stealing things, and that has helped her to survive. But she does get caught, and the police basically say, look, you can go to jail, or we found these distant female relatives that you can go live with. What do you want to do? And obviously she's like, well, I'll go live with the female relatives. But in her mind, she's thinking, and then I'm going to take off and do my own thing again. But what she finds when she meets these women is they all have a little bit of magic as well. And all of their magic is a little bit different. Like her Aunt Mia can make people feel better by cooking these specialty pies. Like she has a pie called the Never Alone Lemon Pie. And if you're feeling lonely and you eat it, it literally makes you feel less lonely. And like Rules of Magic, even though there is magic and that makes the book fun, the book is more about family, and in Trix's case, it's about trying to, how do you accept unconditional love when you've never, had somebody there for you, when you've had to pretty much be on your own for most of your life, and all of a sudden there's people who care about you. Do you trust them? Do you not trust them? And she's very in that kind of forced, like, do I run? Do I stay? Can I trust these people? Do they really care about me like they say? And it's just a beautiful story with beautiful characters, and definitely a 5-star read. I can't recommend this book more. It was just a beautiful story. All right, the next book I would like to tell you about is 8 Perfect Murders. This is a pretty new release, I believe. Our main character in this is Malcolm, who runs a bookstore, and he's been a bookseller for quite a long time in some way or another. And at one point, he wrote a blog to help the bookstore, and in his blog, one of his entries was about 8 perfect murders, basically based on all the murder mysteries he read, what he thought the best murders he had read about. For example, Agatha Christie's ABC murders were one of the examples. So he put this blog out many, many years ago, and then this FBI agent shows up and lets him know that they think somebody is actually copying murders from this list he made. I thought this was a great murder mystery thriller. There are twists and turns I did not see coming, and I gave this book 4 stars, and I highly recommend it. I thought it was wonderful. Next, I would like to tell you about You Are Not Alone by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. These are the authors who wrote An Anonymous Girl, which is now being blocked. They also wrote The Other Wife. I read both of those. I gave An Anonymous Girl 3 stars, and I think The Other Wife I gave 4 stars. The Other Wife I liked a little bit better, obviously, but I figured out what the big reveal was. But I always knew that they were capable of giving me a 5-star book, and they finally did with You Are Not Alone. In this book, our main character is Shay, and she feels very isolated. Her life is very unfulfilled. She doesn't have a significant other. She doesn't have a job that she really likes. And then she witnesses a lady throw herself in front of a subway to commit suicide, which is obviously very traumatizing. She obviously feels really horrible for this woman and so confused why anybody would do that. She ends up going to this woman's, whose name Amanda's, memorial service where she meets her closest girlfriends, and these girlfriends immediately latch on to Shay, and they do seem fabulous and wonderful, and they're just, you know, showering her with attention. Oh, come hang out with us and you're so great. And they're making Shay feel really good, and oh, all of a sudden I have friends, even though the cops are saying, why are you hanging out? You know, you witnessed this woman's murder and now you're hanging out with her friends. That's kind of weird, but you can understand that Shay really can't help herself. You know, these women are just giving her lots of attention and making her feel included. But right away, you know, something's up with these women. They have something up their sleeve. Something is not right. And it's pretty obviously they're manipulating her for some reason. And I gave this book 5 stars because I could not figure out what that reason was. If I had figured it out like early in the story, I would have been disappointed, but I didn't, and it revealed itself the way that it should. And like I said, I knew they could give me a 5-star book, and they finally did. So you are not alone. Highly recommend, which I think I've been saying about all of these books. Like I said, 2020, great year for reading. Not so great for, you know, flus and pandemics and, you know, viruses and being quarantined. But at least I have tons of books. I know some of you might be thinking, oh my gosh, is she gonna highly recommend every book that she read this month? You know, does she just love every single thing that she reads? And the answer is no. I did come across a book this month that I really did not enjoy too much, and that was Watching You by Lisa Jewell. I have read 2 other Lisa Jewell books that I really, really liked, and this one just fell short with me. This book doesn't really have one main character. It's kind of an assortment of characters. And this assortment of characters all have this one man, Tom, in common in their life in some way. We have one who she's having an extramarital affair with him. We have one who's his son. We have one who's a student of his. So we're seeing him in all these different perspectives. And then all throughout the book, we're seeing police interviews because somebody has killed him. And I just really didn't connect with the characters. There were so many times I was bored. There were times when I looked at it and I didn't want to pick it back up because it wasn't that great. And like I said, Lisa Jewell, the other 2 books I've read of hers were really great. In fact, I think one I gave 5 stars and one I gave 4 stars. And this one is like 2 stars, maybe. I don't know. If you read this one and enjoyed it, please let me know. It might have been affected by what else I was reading because I did have some fabulous reads this month, and this one, I don't know. This one just did not hit the mark for me, so I cannot say I highly, highly recommend this one. So if you're thinking I recommend every book, I don't. Really quick before I move on, please hit the subscribe button if you're interested in watching more of my videos, and please hit that notification bell because I do not have a set filming schedule. I don't have a set work schedule, so I can't have a set uploading schedule. So some weeks I have Monday and Wednesday off, some weeks I have Tuesday and Friday off, and that affects when I film and I upload. So it's kind of hard not having a set schedule. That's why I said ring that bell so that you'll actually know when my videos are up. Oh, and also, please follow me on Instagram. It's down in the description, and I always follow everybody right back. All right, the next book I'm going to tell you a little bit about is Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed. This was the January pick for the Reese Witherspoon Book Club review. I read this, and I also read This Is How It Always Is. If you would like to hear more about these books, please check out my February Reese Witherspoon book review that's up in the cards. If you're not familiar, my Reese Witherspoon Book Club reviews, I discuss 4 books from her Hello Sunshine Book Club each month. They're my most popular videos. And then also, you can check out the March Reese Witherspoon Book Club review where I talk about The Scent Keeper and I talk about erotic stories for Punjabi widows. Wow on this one, but please check that one out. That is now up in the cards. I will be participating in the Owls. I'm very excited that is coming up. I've already started planning exactly what I'm going to be reading that month, so that TBR will be coming soon. My next couple of videos are probably going to be tag videos. I have a couple tags that I filmed and I haven't edited and I need to put up, and I actually have come up with my own original tag, and if you're watching this and you've ever left a comment, you're probably going to be tagged if you're a booktuber, just letting you know. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please stay safe, please stay healthy, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.